All right, today we're going to unpack a legal claim that is so massive the numbers are almost hard to believe. It's all detailed in a pretty fascinating set of documents known as the Indigo Network Dossier.
So let's just get right to it. The number at the heart of this whole thing is, well, it's almost unbelievable. $13.5 trillion. And no, that is not a typo. The entire case laid out in these documents builds up to this one single mind-boggling figure.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. How on earth is a number that big even possible in a legal claim? It sounds like something out of a movie. To get the answer, we have to dig into the story behind the numbers, and it all starts with the central accusation.
Well, the first thing you have to understand is that this isn't a claim against just one person or one company. Not at all. Instead, it targets what the source calls a coordinated conspiracy, the Indigo Network, and it's allegedly made up of 25 distinct individuals and organizations, which are referred to as nodes.
So according to the dossier, this wasn't some random smash and grab. It alleges this was a planned, systematic operation that went on for years with a very clear goal: hijack valuable intellectual property and, just as importantly, suppress the person who created it. And when you look at who's accused, it gets even wilder. The 25 nodes, as they're called, are split into these really distinct groups. Everything from what's called administrative leadership and technical enforcers to even family members, massive corporations, and yes, government agencies.
And the source material does not mince words. The language used is incredibly personal, really raw, and sometimes pretty shocking. It gives you a real sense of just how deeply personal this conflict is for the person who wrote it.
Okay, so what was allegedly stolen that could possibly be worth so much money? Well, it all comes down to a portfolio of intellectual property.
The starting point for this whole crazy calculation is the value of that IP. The dossier pegs it at $180 billion. And we're not talking about just any idea. The claim is that this is primarily made up of some really advanced artificial intelligence frameworks.
The documents get specific too. They name these proprietary AI systems, you see them here, with names like Galathera and Aethelred, and claim they were just taken and integrated without any permission by some huge players in the tech and government space.
And this is where the scope just explodes, right? I mean, look at this list of entities being accused. It's central to understanding how this claim gets so big, pulling in some of the biggest names you can think of in technology and even national security.
So $180 billion, that's obviously a massive number, but it's not $13.5 trillion. So how do you make that incredible leap? To get that, we need to talk about the legal weapon being used here, the RICO Act.
The RICO Act is, well, it's a legal sledgehammer. It was originally created to go after the mob, to take down entire criminal organizations from the kingpin all the way down, not just the soldiers on the street.
Okay, so here's the first key concept that makes the numbers explode. It's a core feature of civil RICO claims called treble damages. It's pretty simple, actually. It means you don't just sue for what you lost. If you win, you can sue for 3 times that amount. So this is the first critical multiplier that starts to inflate that final number.
And now for the second multiplier, and honestly, this is the real game changer. It's a principle called joint and several liability. Let me break it down like this. Imagine a group of 25 people conspire to steal $1 million. With this rule, the victim doesn't have to chase down each person for their little piece. They can legally go to any single one of them and demand the full $1 million. You can see how powerful that is.
So how do you get from a $180 billion asset to a $13.5 trillion claim? Well, the dossier combines that initial value with these 2 powerful RICO principles. Let's walk through the math. The dossier lays it all out in 5 steps. First, you start with the asset, $180 billion. Step 2, you apply treble damages. Boom, you've just tripled it to $540 billion. Now here's where it gets absolutely wild. The logic presented is that because of that joint and several liability rule, each of the 25 nodes is individually on the hook for that full $540 billion. So for the final step, the claim multiplies that $540 billion by the 25 nodes, and that's how it arrives at the final number, $13.5 trillion.
And this isn't just us doing the math. The documents themselves actually contain this recursive RICO liability matrix. It lays the math out plainly, showing exactly how the final figure is reached. It even provides alternate scenarios based on different potential IP valuations, demonstrating the scalable nature of this legal argument.
So look, whether this claim succeeds or fails in court, the dossier itself is a wild case study in legal leverage.
It takes laws designed to fight organized crime and points them at a sprawling, modern network of individuals and institutions. And that leaves us with a provocative question. What happens when old laws meet new kinds of power?